almost 2 years now since I finished, and what I've learned is that our solutions are contextual. We need to understand the lived experience of the people who we want to work with in order to support some kind of change. And if we take the time to do that, then we can find solutions that not only make a difference in the lives of our students, but that also fit the context. So one of my jobs is IFIP director in the Global South. So I've been doing this work since January with Daniel and the team. And I was like, okay, so if that's the case, then we need to understand the communities that we're trying to bring inclusion to. And we must be very mindful that we don't bring our solutions. What we have to do is bring our willingness to really understand the lived experience, not only for me with the teachers I speak to, but for you as teachers with the students who you teach. Our job is to understand their lived experience and to design solutions together. So this is a long list of things you're going to learn with me today. Hopefully, as we do some activity together, we start to work through understanding that really we need to feel that sense of empathy as a very first beginning point. But from there, we have the ability to recognize that we are the problem solvers, right? We have the context and the community that we need to solve the problems that we find. If we can find the barriers that get in the way, we can be creative about finding the solutions around them. And so today we're going to do that together. We're going to pitch our ideas to each other, and hopefully by learning and failing and listening to each other, you'll go away back to school on Monday with an idea for someone in your community that currently you may still feel like you haven't reached, or a problem you haven't solved. So I very much go against any kind of cookie cutter solutions, and I truly believe that it is our variability that makes, and our diversity that makes us strong. We're not here to fix the broken students. We're not here to repair the students who aren't like the others. In fact, we're here to understand the lived experience of the humans that we work with, and we're here to find ways to capture that diversity, shift it into a strength, and together find a solution. Are we together? Do you think it's possible? Do you think it's possible that the solutions rest inside us? Right? Africa is an incredibly resilient continent, right? You already probably have had experiences of challenge that you've been able to overcome. There is a dominant number of females in this room, and I put all my hope in the African female, because quite often you are the ones who keep things well together. Your voices aren't always heard, but underneath you are solving the problems in your own situation, in your own circles, in your own communities. And I truly believe that as teachers, if we were to redefine our goal and our role as a teacher, and instead of thinking that someone's actually going to come and tell us how to teach and give us a book and a solution that we can follow and magically it works, if we redefined our roles and led with curiosity and led with empathy towards the users or the children that we work with, we would be a powerhouse of solutions. We would truly be a powerhouse of solutions. So sometimes I think we've kind of defined the whole teaching role in a way that's actually not helping us find a new system. So just close your eyes for a moment, because sometimes it's a good way to trick your brain. And I want you to tell yourself that in our session today, you're here with a new role. You're not the teacher that you were just like 10 minutes ago when you were having lunch. You're not the job description that you thought you were hired for. You are curious, right? You're highly empathetic, and you're kind of like a researcher of people. So when behavior is in front of you, you're more curious than annoyed, right? So define yourself as the curious researching teacher who leads with empathy to find the problems and then find the solutions of the humans that we work with. So open your eyes. You have a new job description. You're no longer just in charge of all those daily activities. You are, in fact, a researcher and a human designer. Because it is a myth that there's any cookie-cutter solution for you or any book that can possibly teach you how to be the best teacher. It's already here. So there is no magic book. Yes, we sent you to school to learn how to be a teacher and you had to study, but there is no one cookie-cutter solution for you. The truth is we can't rely on imported solutions. We can't rely on just the books that we read or what you studied in school. The reality is you already have a rich, diverse community. You already are a teacher with curiosity and empathy. And today you're going to find your way to understanding the small people or the large students that you work with, or the teachers, if you're a leader, that you work with. And our job is really that we come up with local solutions that are grounded in what we have. And this kind of shifts the paradigm, thinking that maybe I've come here to tell you what to do. I haven't. I've come here to help you design from your own context. So this empathy map is an interesting way to view our role, our new role as teacher. You need to start by noticing exclusion. And I know you do notice, right? I know you notice, even though the system doesn't always allow you to act, or the system doesn't always say that that notice is something that we can take care of, but you notice. You notice when you feel excluded. You notice when children in your class are excluded. The system is the one that puts the barriers. If you don't put the barriers, and you start to notice where the barriers are in the system, that is the beginning of being a human-centered design teacher, someone who looks at the lived experience. You really need to be grounded in understanding the experience of the students who you teach. You need to think about their daily lives, their families, what they come to school with, what's happened before they arrived in the morning, what might have happened at break time. And if you notice exclusion and you can spot it, and then you lead with empathy, that's going to help us to design a new solution that will make a huge difference, one student at a time. So I just want you to take a moment and think about a time that you might have saw something or felt something as a teacher or a school leader where it wasn't really fair for that student. That student wasn't included. And maybe at the time you didn't have the solution, but think about that individual right now, or a group of students, maybe a group of parents. Think now about, try to get like one little case study in your mind of a student or a situation that you don't yet have the solution for. Think of it the other way, the one that drives you crazy, the one that keeps you up at night, the one you're like, how did that happen? How did that get to my class? The one that you haven't solved. So think about that. We're going to do a little activity. So really think about a specific learner that's currently on the margins, on the outside, on the fringes, either in your classroom, in the hallways, at break time, depends what your job is. If you're a school leader, you might think about that one teacher that's on the margins or not quite included in your faculty. A situation where you don't yet have a solution. Try to form that in your mind, maybe on your paper if you have one, draw a little picture. Really try to narrow your thinking so that we're thinking about some real situation, some real student, someone real, a specific learner. We need to identify them first. So once we've identified them, this is where empathy plays a huge role. It is very hard to live and think in the shoes of another person. It's very hard when you juggle a class of 25 or 35 or 40 students. It's very hard when you had a difficult morning already. But really, empathy is at the heart and soul of human-centered design. So just quietly on your own, with a student that you're thinking of, take some time to think about their specific lived reality. What is life like for them? And not just when they're with you. You may be the only one who gives them that time and space and love. But think about what their life is like from the time they wake up, get ready for school, get to school, hopefully. If not, they may be excluded from school and they spend their day at home. Maybe they work with you in an after-school program or some other program. So first you have to identify the learner, and now start to think about their lived experience. Imagine you are them. Be them and walk through the day in their shoes. Just do that quietly on your own. But we're not here to fix the broken children. We're here to find the superpower inside. So as you've thought through their lived experience, you know who they are, you've thought through their lived experience, now I want you to think, what's hidden? What strengths are currently in that student that are getting overlooked because of the system? Potentially, there isn't easy access for them. Some schools in Namibia that I've been to have large stones that help students get up the 3-foot difference between the sand and the classroom door. Even I don't want to walk up those rocks. What system is getting in the way? And what strengths are we unable to see yet for this learner? I want you to take a bit of time and turn to the people sitting near you. I want you to tell them, who are you thinking about? Now that you think about their lived experience, how might that be? And what superpower might they have that we can't see yet because the system is hiding it? So turn and talk now to the people around you. I should hear whispers and noise. If the person beside you isn't talking, just give them a little elbow nudge. Okay, a little bit more talking, a little bit more talking. Should see you with a partner. Okay, the right side of the room is pretty quiet. I awake right side of the room. Are you napping after lunch? Okay, let's wrap up that for a moment. Just finish up the sentence. We're still going to work with this learner that you have in mind. So in all my years as a school leader, I've come to understand that a lot of time the system doesn't even let the school leader do what they want, and that can be a bit tricky. You're either choosing to do what someone else wants, or you're choosing to find another school to lead. But there are small things all the time that we can do as school leaders. They center in 3 areas. I have to credit the wisdom of a school director in Zimbabwe who told me this like about 15 years ago. So if you think about time, if you think about space, and if you think about people, a school leader has control, for the most part, of those 3 things. And oftentimes, when I find an unsolvable problem, I look in those 3 areas. That's one of my wisdoms of being school leader for a long time. If I can find a solution by changing the way I use time, I can make a difference. If I find a solution by the way I use the physical space, rearranging the room, fixing the access, or if I can find the way I use the people. Oftentimes we are so stuck to systems that use people in particular ways. But in my experience, the best school directors take the time to get the best out of all the people, which means we can be untraditional about the way we use people. Time is the other one. We're often very bell to bell, and we think, oh, this is what school should be. But as school leaders and teachers, we're here to make sure learning happens. We're not here to uphold systems that don't necessarily make sure that learning happens. So if we consider time, space, and people, if we empathize, if we lead by understanding the lived experience of others, we're starting to shift some of our practices. And in that way, yes, we challenge the system, but we do it within the sphere that we have control over. So often think, as we move forward with our ideas, think about time. Is time a barrier? Is space a barrier? Or are the way we use the people getting in our way? So we've walked through the design thinking. We've started with the empathy. We're thinking about the user. We're thinking about their lived experience, not ours. From there, we've identified their superhuman strength that we haven't yet tapped, that we don't see because of the system. And now we're going to think about time, space, and people to see if we can use our context to find something different and move forward away from the challenge that we started with to a solution that's going to make a difference. So, my slide's not flipping. But the next thing we need to do is we now need to think about that with the problem that we started with. So design thinking was created by engineers and architects as a way to solve problems. I'm sure Apple Computers has a lot of design thinkers, and you know, sometimes they make the solution that we didn't even know that we needed. And so design thinkers become very adaptable at trying out ideas. One really important thing for a design thinker, which makes it a really nice way to think, is failure is actually feedback, and it tells you where not to go and you need to fail quick, and then you need to try something else. So design thinking is really a nice flexible way of thinking, and it makes sure that we take the time to solve for the people, not just apply the solution that's probably not going to work. So I want you to start to think about what resources you have. What are the resources that are available to you? I need to look at my slide. What are the resources? Some of you, maybe like I had in the beginning, may have financial resources. But for the most part, schools are not well endowed with a lot of financial resources. But there are plenty of resources that we have. And remember, time, physical space, and people. And so what I want you to do as our next activity is to start to work through thinking about the student. I want you to think about the persona that you've pinpointed. I want you to think about a barrier that is in your way. And I want you to start to brainstorm ideas. And this is called ideate, which means you just come up with ideas, no matter how crazy they sound, and you just make a big, long list. So ideate means you just come up with ideas. Okay, so we've got the person in our mind. Think of the specific barrier that's getting in the way. And your job now is to ideate. I would start by making a big, long list of all the solutions that might solve this situation, and then pick your top 3. So you can choose to work on your own. You can choose to work with the people around you. But we're really actually going to do this, and you're going to pitch your ideas before we're done today, so that you can actually have an idea that you can take back to your school for Monday. So think about the person, pinpoint the barrier that's getting in the way, and then come up with as many ideas as you can, and it has to be in your context. So ideas that don't cost money, ideas that don't require you to buy something and ship it from another country. Think about the things that you already possess. Let me give you an example. So I was asked to give a science workshop to science teachers in Namibia, and I wanted to do storytelling. And I know they had 0 budget, because otherwise they would have gone to the coast and done their workshop there. So my whole work was related to storytelling, but I didn't have any budget for printing, making cards, making information, and sharing it. So I went into my garden, and I started to pick up rocks. Nice, smooth, flat rocks. And I like to draw. So I drew little pictures of the characters in the stories that I wanted them to talk about. And then I had some paste, and I glued the people onto the rocks. So instead of thinking, okay, I can't do the story activity because I can't do all that printing, there's no budget, it's very expensive, the rocks were in my backyard. The drawing was in my head. So I used a very low-cost solution, a 0-cost solution, and just my own creativity. Okay? Another example, a lot of students in the after-school program in my neighborhood don't yet know how to read, and they're teenagers. I was like, oh, what would I do? I could get some fancy online class, I could get some fancy books. No, I got some rocks. And with rocks and sticks, I started to teach them how to build words. And we did it under a tree by the train track. And yes, those boys can read now. So I want you to think about time, space, and people. In both of my cases, the resources were free. I just had to use my time. I had to collect rocks, I had to draw the pictures, but it still worked, right? In the case of reading, space, I didn't have anywhere to teach them, so we went by the train track under the tree. I changed the space. So I want you now to take about 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and I want you to ideate so that at the end of this moment, you'll be able to tell us who's the persona, what's the barrier, what are the 3 ideas that you think might work in your context. Do that now.
Good afternoon, distinguished ladies and my esteemed colleagues. My name is Jane, and I'm from Vivian Fowler, and I was sharing with Heidi that, I hope I can call you Heidi. Okay. There's this lovely student in my school that I call Jane Doe, and I've identified the persona. What's the bottleneck? The bottleneck is the home front. Unfortunately, parents are divorced, but they've remarried. Both parents have remarried, and I've noticed that when she's with mom, there's a bit of chaos, but when she's with dad and his second wife, there's a bit of structure. So to help her, what I have told Heidi that I will do when we get back to school is I'll get an activity sheet for her to fill in, and every time she brings the right number of books, she'll be given some kind of reward. Even if it means praising her during assembly where everybody applauds, because every human being loves to be celebrated. So that's what I'll do for my lovely student, whom I would like to name as Jane Doe.
So understanding the lived experience and making sure the solution fits. It's not high in resource. Anyone else want to share? Come on. Yeah, come share, girls. Come share. Very good.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. One of the solutions I can think of is, the problem is we were sent to special schools to have practical experience, because I'm a student in the University of Lagos studying special education, so I have practical experience. So the school, they did not have access to the right resources or funds. And there's this thing one of our lecturers always makes us do. When, projects, we'll go and look for local materials like covers, ropes, rubber bands, to create tools that would meet the needs of these individuals, to help them improve their learning disability. So for the child with dyscalculia, what I did is that I looked for cover of bottles with rubber bands. Then we made gum there's this foam. When you buy new things, you see this white foam. We mixed it with foil and turned it to gum. So we gummed the plastics on a board, and then we used the rubber band to we use it to connect it. So we use it to teach them multiplication. So when you have two here and you put it together, you ask them 2 times 2, what do you have? With the rubber band connected to each other, they will count it and they will say 4. So like that, it was easy for them to understand what was taught to them theoretically. And it was fun because they don't have access to these things. All they do was just write the things on the board and that was it. But since they had physical visual representation of what they are teaching them, they were able to improve step by step, not fast. They were moving at a very slow pace. And for those with dyslexia, what we did is that we drew the letters of the alphabet, we traced them, we made sure that the students were part of this particular design that we were doing. So we created the shapes of the letters, we gummed it, we used it to create different words. And there was this particular one that we did. We put, I don't know if you know these shoes that if you open it, it has this gum on it. We paste it on the board. Then letters of the alphabet add its own. So you gum it to each letter that you see. So it was very fun and they were enthusiastic to learn more.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. So my own perspective is from the aspect of space. We talk about time, we talk about space, and we talk about people. So I'm going to be drawing the problem from space, and that is the environment. I'm going to be talking much on modifying the environment and seeing the best of the child. Now, I'm going to create two problem practical example. The first one is the boy always have anxiety problem. Whenever we want to transition to another activities, it's going to become a problem. For him, throwing tantrum, crying, shouting, making loud noises everywhere, chaos everywhere. So now we see this is a problem. How can we address it? The best way to address what we did is, okay, you know what? Let's have a conversation. You are going to get this. After this, you are going to get that. After that, you are going to get this. So how did we play it out? We created a visual schedule. Okay, we draw the image of, okay, after you move from audiovisual, you are going to visual perception. You are going to fine motor. You are going to play. So the boy has a perception of the next activities before the teacher or before the therapist even try to say, oh, this is what you are going to do next. And before we know it, that made the child to even be more calmer. Because in the long run, is interpreting that, okay, after this, I'm moving to this. And to particularly, this works a lot for children on the autism spectrum because they are very, very rigid to routines. So that has created a subconscious mind that, okay, when I'm leaving this, I'm going to this. The child is already preparing in mind for the next activities before anybody say we'll shut off the TV. So that works for them. So in summary, what I'm saying is visual schedule works a lot. Create the image of whatsoever activities you want to create for that child and let them see it before that time, before you switch. And always communicate. We do communication too. Don't think it because, oh no, it doesn't have emotion, it's not going to understand. Let's say it. We are going to, maybe from this, I'm going to shut down the TV right now in the next 2 or 3 minutes. Are we all good? We are good. Don't assume they can't communicate. The second side of it, still talking about space, is the aspect of modification of environment. Now, there is this boy, I'm going to call him A. I'm not going to mention his name. Whenever there is hypersensitivity of light, he's very hyper. Whenever he sees light, oh my God, tantrum and a lot of problem. So what we need to do is, okay, this environment is so littered. Let's try to modify the environment. Can we reduce the light so that the hypersensitivity to light is going to reduce and calm his nerves? We notice when the light is on, squinting, as if someone cannot see very well. So we decided to modify the environment and make the low light and make it a very dim or cool temperature light to the extent that everybody can see whatever thing we are doing without anxiety. And before you know it, it works like magic. The boy got calmed down and nothing was as if nothing happened from the initial. So what I'm drawing out from this is we need to modify our space if need be. Look at the lights, look at the sand, and look at any other area. Thank you.
I had a case of a child sleeping in the class almost every day. And we investigated, we spoke to the parent. He's from by a single parent, only the mother, no father. And the mother told us that he has a phone and he's on social media deep in the night. So we gave her counsel that she should remove the phone from the child so that the child will learn. But to God be the glory, this week, on Monday, we discovered a new thing. That boy comes to school with alcohol. So he puts it in water bottle. So halfway the lesson in the class, he will go to the toilet and drink alcohol, now come back to the class and he's sleeping. I say to God be the glory because that very afternoon, he went to the toilet. Principal was inspecting the school, midday inspection. He just saw the boy with water bottle with a bag. And she said it's only the girls that go to toilet with a bag if they want to use it for their personal hygiene or something. So she apprehended the boy. She now found the water bottle and opening it, it was an alcohol. So we had to, interact with the boy. We brought in the parent. And the issue is that he has given that to another child. From the investigation, we find out that he didn't only take it, he has given it to another student. And he's just joined us. And it was this academic section the boy came in SS2. So the mother is saying that why he brought the boy here was because somebody recommended the school that is a place where the child can be corrected. Already we've known there is a problematic child. But fortunately for us, we had a guest from Ministry of Education that Monday. So we involved him. He was able to help us from government, we were able to address the matter, and he gave us what to do. and it was, we were already thinking of asking the child to leave the school because he took it and he has given it to another child. And he might create 20 of those kind if we allow him to settle down. So I was a bit apprehensive. So, but the government officer said that child must learn that we should calm down. He was able to brought us down because I was the one that needed counsel, not the boy doesn't need any counsel at this moment because my mind is that let him live before he will create 20 or 40 of his kind, and then we have more problems or more challenges that he will damage other people's children. This is not healthy. The man now had to talk to me, and after addressing me, I recovered that I'm even a counselor and I need to do my professional job. So it was an encounter I just experienced of recent, and it's quite God help us. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So we don't always, how much time do I have? Like 5 minutes left? Is that, yeah. So we don't always, or we can't always rely on the fact that you had some good advice already there. I spoke with a group back there who have challenges physically with access to their building. And as we started to talk, we're like, we need to wait for someone to come and build something for us, or we need to wait for someone to bring something. But the truth is, Africa, it's not going to come. This is the time for us to be the solution. I work with a group called Glodum in Namibia, 3 very intelligent, high-tech gurus, young men, who have a vision for Africa that I cannot not think about. Namibia is without electricity and without running water in many parts, and connectivity, good luck. So these guys have invented a computer that runs on solar power and that not only has AI embedded inside, but the AI is in the server, not in the cloud, keeping Namibia's data sovereign to its own country. When I went to visit a school with them, I noticed that they'd set up some computer labs, and I was like, but I hear this school has the lowest math rates, and I was told that 8th grade only gets bigger every year because people continue to fail. And then they designed a dashboard with AI embedded inside. When the school director sees that and I came up with 50 potential indicators that could be why kids don't read or pass math, they embedded the AI inside the smart lab, inside the computer that they can use on local servers with solar power. And I think the biggest thing for you to take away is what I've learned from them when they particularly say, we are not going to wait for our government to build the roads. We are not going to wait for our government to bring the connectivity, but we are not going to let another generation of youth in Africa go without what they need. So they created a solution that can work in the rugged heat of Namibia with the solar power. And not only that, they've created an internal smart computer that allows the AI agent to give feedback on whatever topic. Oh, and they've done it, they trained the AI to speak local language so that parents can have access to the data as well. And these are the youth of this continent, youth over there. You are the ones who are going to be bringing the solutions, and we are the continent that needs to embrace them. So these guys at Glodum, not only are they able to build it, but they're going to place their factory just on the border of Angola so they can send it up the west coast and send it up the east coast. And really, in the next decade, when wealth and resources are coming because of technology and because of ideas, we need all of our youth and all of our people to be thinking that the solutions are not outside the continent. We will not be waiting for the white cane to come or the better wheelchair to come. What we need to do now is give our children the chance to be the innovators, design, understand the human lived experience, prototype, get feedback, fail fast, try again, don't give up, and build within your context. Thank you.